So, welcome back. So I am making a little goat. As you can see, I've already started. I've got his little head and neck moulded out. So I just made little balls and little sausages out of those balls to get the basic shape. And I've also just measured up 4 little balls for feet. So basically animals are just little balls. Lots of balls all joined together. So that'll be his little legs. So I'll stick 4 of them. Around about the same size. Onto his little body. Like that. And then I'll just get his basic sort of shapes. I'll actually narrow those legs a little bit. I'll make them a little bit sausagey. Just a little bit. Like that. Whoops. So get them all roughly the same size. Like that. And then stick those little legs on there. And I will mould them like... I'll stick the legs on a bit better just around the edges with my other tools here. So I just use my sort of little roundedy one or oval one, and I just squish the edges of the joins of the legs to help those to stick a bit firmer, like that. Go all around the legs. Not worrying about detail just yet. Just getting the basics into place. Again, pushing the clay up to join legs on a bit. Like that. Little leg, same. Just trying to think, the goats have tails. They do, don't they? They have wiggly waggly tails, little goats. So I'll give him his tail as well. Okay, so there's his basic sort of shape. I've got to connect the inside of these legs a little bit. Like that. And then I'll stick him on his little clay block, his little glass block I mean, because that way I can move him around a bit easier to adjust his details and things. I can turn him like that. So, and he's got a little beard, so I've got to stick a little beard on him, because goats have little beards. Well, this one does anyway. He's a billy goat gruff. So I'll just make a little beard. And I'll stick that on there. Like that. And I'll add the details in a little while. So I'm just getting the basic shapes where I want them. Oops, I'm going to have to hold him. Just smush that on. A bit more in the centre. There we go. Can be a bit fiddly to begin with. Whoops. There we go. So that's basic shape. Like that. Then I've got to do his little horns. So I'll make him his little horns. Actually, I'll make them quite a reasonable size. He's got to do his horns and his ears. And then I might even just use this rubber tool just to smooth off around the legs and stuff. Oh, actually, you know what I'll use? I'll use the ball tool. The ball tool is even better. There it is, it's on the end of that. So I use that to smooth like that. The joins, like that. So you only need 2 or 3 tools. You need sort of like a flat blade, a round tool, and something like that to be able to squish your clay. Oops. But the ball, usually they're two-ended, so you've got a ball on one end and a little sort of bladey thing on the other. You can see that gets out all the little creases and cracky bits. Like that. All right. My little dog, one of my little dogs at the door. Okay, like that. Okay, that's roughly it. I'll attach the head a bit more, like that. Okay, looking a bit better. I've got to do this little seam under his neck here. Like that. And I can squish his neck down a fraction more. Tidy up that little seam. Excuse my little dog in the background. Alright, so now I'm going to do his little horns. And they're sort of curved backwards. Make two the same size. And I'm using a glass palette that I use for my acrylic paints, but it works just as well. It's toughened glass, so, and it's painted white back on the back, so you can see your colours when you're mixing paints and things, but it's actually quite good for, I find, for doing clay on, polymer clay. It doesn't sort of stick to it, which is really handy. And that's just a coffee jar, the lid of a coffee jar that I use to hold my little animals, my little sculptures. So this is going to be his horns. Again, I'll squish it on with the end of this little tip of the bladey thing, like that. Goodness. Okay. I just got to change that music. There we go. That's a bit better. And again, with the other little horn on this side. It's not quite the same length, so I'll shorten that a fraction on top. And just tidy up that little mark. And pop, oops, that on there. I can shape them better once I've got everything joined. Days. So I'll just join those a bit more solidly. And it's like a drawing, you've got to be patient. It goes through an ugly phase before it gets better. It's exactly the same as drawing. You hit sort of a not so pretty phase. Tidy up this shape a little bit. Get more points on the end of the horns by just kneading that with my thumb and forefinger. And again with that one, you can see it's starting to get shape. Then I can blend out the front. Like that. And it's starting to look a bit more goat-like. Got to make his little ears. They've got quite big ears. So I'll make those up. I'll make two little balls and then I'll flatten them. So I've got one here. Roll that into a ball. Like that. Get another ball about the same size. And I'm using Super Sculpey as the clay I'm using. About the same size. That's still a little bit big, so make it smaller like that. They're about the same size. Pop my clay off, drop some clay on the floor, pick that up, pop it back in the bag. Alright, got them round about the same size. Now I'm going to flatten them to make the ears. Just with my pointy finger, and I can shape that a bit because they've got long sort of oval ears, skinny long oval ears. Actually, I could use my rolling pin. I've got a Perspex plasticky rolling pin, so I'll just use that to flatten the ear. Same with this other one, like that. Whoops, it is like that. And I can, once I've smoothed him off, I'll leave those there. And once I've smoothed his joins a bit more, I can cut the shapes of the ears and pop them on. So I'm just going to go around and recheck all of these little joins. Tidy up the shape of his head a little bit, make it a little bit more symmetric, like that. Okay, smooth it all out. Alright, he's looking pretty cute. Get this join on this front leg a bit more, around his neck. Tidy up the shape on his little face, under his chin. There we go. So he's pretty well smoothed out. I'm going to do fur texture so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to make his ears now. I'm just going to cut the shape. I've got my little X-Acto knife here. And I'm going to cut a teardroppy shape for his ear. That's one ear, like that. And then I'm going to use that as a marker so I know what size to do the other ear, like that. Okay, pop that little bit of clay out to the side, and then I can attach his ears just below and in front of his antlers, horns, like that. And again, use my bally tool to smush that on, like that. Sort of cute. Okay, and the same on the other side. Use my bally tool, just smush that just down in front of that antler horn tree on that side. Use the bally tool to smush that on, like that. Oops, it is. Like that. Let's have a look. I might give him, whoops, his other ear. Need to stick that down a bit better. I need to have it up a bit higher, like that. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to lift that one up a fraction higher as well. So bring his ears up a little bit closer to his horns, like that. Like that. Curl them a little bit. Whoops. And then stick that one on there. Oops. Doesn't want to stick at the front. I can adjust that shape a little bit. I'm just going to use my hand to straighten that out a fraction, like that. Same on this side. Okay. So there is his basic little shape. Little goat. Ta-da! So now, got to tidy up his little horns a bit, get his head on a bit of a better angle. I'm just going to turn this music, it's terrible, hang on. I'm just going to go to, hang on, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to go genres, let's go music, music, because that is terrible music. Let's go acoustic. Okay, that's a bit better. I like to have music when I'm creating it in the background. It helps to inspire me and Oops, that little bit of the leg had a bit of a issue. Okay, I'll give him a little tail too. Actually, he needs a little tail. I think his ears are the wrong shape. I need to do them rounder. I'm going to squish them again. I'm going to squish his ears. They need to be a little bit rounder. Not quite so long and oval. A bit more that shape. Like that. Not quite so long and skinny as I had them. Like that. Oops. Okay, that's looking a bit better. Then I'll attach that. That's better. That looks better. Attach that below and a little bit to the front. Same on the other side. Attach it below and a little bit to the front. Like that. Smooth that out. Whoops. I can use this is the teeny tiny little ball tool to get in to attach it at the front here, like that. That just squishes the clay together to help bond it, all of that. There we go. There we go. Now I can adjust shapes a little bit because this is now quite warmed up and malleable. Because I've bent him by moving things around. Oops, I just stuck my thumbnail in his ear. Tidy that up. He's going to be covered in fur markings, so I don't have to get him completely smooth. Hello, Stitched. How are you? And Lily? And Lily, hello, hello. How are you both? Okay. Hope you are having a lovely day. It's a gorgeous day here in Australia. We've got beautiful sunshine happening. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is supposed to be acoustic. How about we go to the acoustic version? Okay. Now I can start to add his fur texture. So I'm going to do that using this little tool here. I'm alright, just working on some clay dinos myself. Oh, awesome! Very good, fellow clay crafter. That is good fun. Lots of good fun. Do you use polymer clay or? And you're doing pretty good too. That's awesome, Stitched. Lovely to hear. So I'm just marking in the fur texture around his little body. And I'm literally just following the direction of his fur. And you can see all those, it also helps to join his little, we can see where his seams were, where his head and legs and everything are joined and ears, they'll disappear because the fur marks sort of blend them just nicely. So I'll just take the fur onto his ear a little bit, like that. Yeah, Sculpey clay. Oh, nice. Yeah, I've actually this is my first time using Sculpey. I had, it's called Dukit or Dukit, a New Zealand brand of clay that I was using, but I thought I'd try this. I've got Super Sculpey, and I'm really liking it. It's much softer to use, I've found. Sort of more, it feels more rubbery, I suppose, is the only way I can describe it, but really good. Got to do his beard, so I'm just going to make that longer strands. Got to be a bit careful. Actually, you know what? I need to do it on there. Like that. Then I can do it. I can hold my hand on the other side. But I found, I didn't know I could get Sculpey in Australia, and I found a supplier, so I'm rather happy that I can get hold of Sculpey clay, because I think I'll be sticking to Sculpey. I quite like how it feels to use, but it's super Sculpey. I watched a few reviews on different types of Sculpey. Whoopsie-days. My goodness, this is supposed to be acoustic. Okay. There we go. Then come down onto his little legs. Again, remembering to follow the direction that their fur naturally goes. It's exactly the same as drawing. And it's longer fur on his body, so I'll do longer marks. Like that. Oopsie-days. Just trying to think if goats have tails. I'm pretty sure they do. I might have to draw a tail. Draw a tail? Cut it. Make a tail, I mean. And they've got cloven feet, so I'll give him his little hoof. Cloven hooves, like that. I can give him his little eyes and his nose too, so I'll use this tool to go eyes. Oops, hold his little head. Like that. Try and get them the same height would be good. There we go. They're not quite the same height. There we go. So that's his little eyes. And a little nose, I'll use the little tool. I'll stick a little pupil in the middle of his eye with the smaller tool, like that. There we go. There's his little eyes. And then I'll do his little nose, nostrils, like that. And I'm doing these because a friend and I are going to do a market. And I thought these would be cute little things for Christmas. Oh, oops, he just did a somersault. Again, just going the direction of the fur. Down under his chin. And around his chest. And onto his little legs. I need to lengthen that leg a fraction. Yeah, I'm very new to sculpting. I usually draw, but I am loving making little animals. It's absolutely addictive. The clay, absolutely loving it. It is my new passion, I have to say. I've got to smooth off in here. This join's coming apart a fraction. So I've got to just quickly squish that in a bit more. And then, there we go. That's a bit better. Get my big ball tool and squish that a bit. And then, again, draw that fur back on. There we go. And I'm going to squish that bit there. And then draw the fur back on, just to get that shape a bit better under his neck. And I can draw the fur under his chin. Like that. Okay, cool. Getting there. Getting there. Now draw his little cloven hoof on that foot, his little toe in the middle, like that, on both front feet, and continue on with his fur on his body. Like that. Down and around. I've got a baby magpie sitting outside my window just watching me. They've got little family of Maggies, and they're so cute. In Australia, magpies are just so playful. And I've got a family of them that live out the back, and they're teaching their baby magpie how to hunt and eat and do all the things. But it's fascinated. It comes right up to the house and it sits on the chair and just watches me. It's wondering what we humans are up to. And it's so cute. And they're super playful. The other day it was teasing my dogs and it was laying all flat on the grass, and all its little feathers were fluffed up and its wings were spread out like it was sunbaking. And it was just teasing my dogs, and every time the dogs would get near it, it'd fly away. It was so cute. Okay, so continue down the fur legs. I can squish that a bit more. Whoops. Stick him onto his stand a bit better. And again, just continue down both sides with all the fur. And this is a quick, simple, and a great fun gift idea for Christmas too. The fur looks good, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I want to do a Highland cow too, but I'd have to do that in I'd have to make all the individual little sausages for his fur. But it does, it comes up pretty good, and it disappears the joins, which is what I want. I'll just leave a little bit of smooth at the bottom through his hooves. I need to Google goat to find out whether they've got a tail. I'm sure they've got tails, long tails. I just have to double check. Oops, so Daisy, what's going on there? That bit separated itself, so I've got to squish that a bit. Just give that a squish. Squish, squish, squish. Like that. And then I can do an upward motion on the fur on his leg. Like that. And continue the fur around the back. I'm not happy with his bottom. I need to fix his bottom. Love it. Awesome. Thank you. I need to Google. I'm going to Google a goat to find the tails. Do goats have tails? Let's Google a goat. Goat tail. Goat tail. Let's have a look. Do goats have tails? Oh yeah, they do. Of course they do. Okay. Found it. They have a little sort of sticky outy tail that wiggles and waggles. So I'll do a wiggly waggly tail, but what I'll do first is actually I'll use both of these and I'll squish them together like that. See, it's just very simple. I've got to do the hair on his head too, actually. Do all the hair around here, the front of his little horns, like that.
One day, like a tidal wave,
like that.
Like a thunderstorm.
Did I do the fur on his beard on that side? I did. Okay, and I've just got to, I'll give him, got to hold his little head. I've got to give him his little mouth. I've got to smooth off there a little bit. I'll use my ball tool to just smooth there a little bit. My thumb. So I've touched it with my fingernail by accident. I'll just do that and then smooth it with my finger. Just gently, gently. Okay, now continue on with his little tail. Take his little ear out a little bit. And then before I attach his tail, I'm actually going to put the marks on it. Like this. And then I'll draw the fur on it now before I attach it. Because otherwise it'll be painful to do once I attach it. So I'll just do the fur on both sides of his little tail and on the edges, because you want the fur to be everywhere, like that. And then that's his little tail. Then I can attach that like that, and then add the fur to the top of that and blend it in with the rest of him like that. And just draw the markings in. And that will blend that in, so it looks like... There we go. That's cute. Alright, continue on with his fur markings now. Got to do his little beard a bit better. Take the fur around the side of his little face. Like that. Marking the fur on that side of his little beard. Just going to go round, and I've made that back leg a bit too rounded. I've got to soften that up a fraction. There we go. Then again, just marking fur around the back. Straighten up his little legs a fraction. So you can adjust and readjust a little bit by little bit. And redraw the fur where you've squished it out. I've got to get underneath him and make sure he's got fur on his little underbelly. So I just literally hold him upside down for a minute and make sure I've got fur in all the spots. Because when he's fired, you'll be able to turn him upside down and look at him and stuff. I just put him in the oven. Hello, Sir John. How are you, doll? So I put him in the oven for half an hour on 130 degrees Celsius. And that's enough to set him hard as a rock. And I'll paint him, but I'll paint him white. So just continue marking in the furs. Until I'm happy with it. I've got to draw his little toes on the back. Whoops. I'm not real happy. That leg looks a bit weird there. I've got to add another little bit of clay because I've got to fill in here. Waiting for the clock. Okay. Are you at work? I'm assuming that's what you mean, waiting for the clock to tick over so you can leave and go home. Okay, so I'm just going to fill this little bit here because I'm not happy. That had a bit too much of a divot sort of thing happening. So I'll just squish that in, seam it, get the seams out, make sure it's stuck on nicely just to fill that gap there because I wasn't happy with the shape of that leg. Like that. There we go. That's a bit better. Now I can draw the fur on again. Oh, pain levels. Oh, no, that's no good, doll. No good at all. Alright. That's better. I'm happier with that shape. Much happier with that shape. Now, I need to make his eyes a bit cuter. I'm not real happy with the eyes, so... And his nostrils are on the side of his head. I need to centralise them a bit more. There we go. And give him a mouth. So I'm going to pick him up carefully and give him a mouth, and I'll use my flat tool. Actually, I'll use the blade. It's probably the easier one. And I'll cut him a mouth like that. Keep it straight. Like that. There's his little mouth. You can only see it when you're really looking straight up close. I'm going to give him little eyes, but I'm going to make them so cute. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I want to make his eyes a little bit cuter. So I'm going to give him I'll put little rings around him and maybe give him little eyelashes. Because goats actually have gorgeous little eyelashes. So I might give him some eyelashes. Just got to smooth this out. Like that. Make it super thin. Super sausage thin. Like that, like a spaghetti. And then I can trim a bits to go round his eye, but what I'll do is I'll make the shape first. So I'll turn that into a little, whoops, little circle, like that. Whoops a days. And then join it. Whoops. Where's my tweezers? I need my tweezers. I actually got myself a little set of tweezers to be able to help with this. There we go. So that's that. It's one little circle for around his eye. Oops. Just got to be very gentle with that. Yeah, they do. My school buddy had a goat. We'd feed him all the time. Super cool goat. He'd quietly wait for us to come and hang out. Goats are so smart. They're gorgeous little creatures. I had a friend who had goats, but whenever I went to visit, it always landed on the bonnet of my car. Or the hood. You guys call it the hood. On the bonnet of my car, it would stand there and look at me, and I'm like, you really don't need to be jumping on my car. Alright. Come around. But it just couldn't wait. And another friend of mine bred South African boar goats, and gorgeous little creatures they are. And they had a horse, and the goats in the wet weather would stand underneath the horse. The horse would stand over the top of the goats and protect them from the weather. They had a stable and everything, but if they were outside, they'd stand underneath the horse, and it was so cute. And they were best friends, the horses and the goats. So now I've got to quickly, carefully, get my pointy tool. My buddy's goat was super chill. He'd just slowly roam around his pad. Nice. There we go. So I'm just going to give him circles around his eyes, just to give them a little bit more definition. And then I'll do little lashes. Ooh, like that. So I'll attach those on. Just by gently poking. Whoops. Ah! Oh my god, he jumped. He's a jumping goat. Nothing fell off, so we're good. I'll just hold him carefully so he doesn't jump again. And I'll draw little eyes, little fur around his eyes, like that. Well, that turned that one into a heart shape. We don't want a heart shape eyeball, we want him a round eyeball. Again, squish it so it looks like little eyelashes, sort of, kind of. And bring his fur down in between his eyes, like that. Alright. His lovable headbutts he would give you was fun. He'd come up and super gentle bump into. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, my friend's goat, the one up the road, was not like, he'd get the butts, but he'd actually really butt. Just gotta draw a bit more fur around his face. That. More on this side. Got to tidy up his nostrils. I'm going to actually make his nostrils a bit bigger, I think. So do like that. That side and that on that side. There we go. Just sort of oval those nostrils out a bit. Smooth the tip of his nose. Like that. Then I can put his little pupils back in the centres of his eyes. I'll give him some eyelashes. They're not really eyelashes, but they're just fur lines on the tops of his eyes. Let's have a look. He looks pretty cute. Now the chickens and roosters, all but two of them would... Oh. Okay, I reckon that's our little goat pretty much done. I'll paint him white when he's kilned it. Do I need to give their horns? Hang on, I need to look at a goat again. I need to Google another goat because I'm just trying to think of their horns textured. Goats horns. Goats horns. Let's have a look. Are they textured? They are a little bit. So I'll give them lines like that. Like that, and then I'll turn it round like that. There we go. And then I'll go. That's it. That looks cute. One of the chickens would come clucking up to me and would tap at my shoe and look up at me. She wanted to be picked up and snuggled. Aww. Nice rooster would just stand on the fence near me waiting to be pet. Aww. I love chickens and roosters. We used to have them. I don't have them here because we've got too many foxes and too many little predators that would eat them. But I love them. They're so relaxing. The noise they make when they're just grazing around on the grass looking for bugs. There's that gentle cawing that they make. I reckon he's done. I'm just going to tidy up that eye a bit. Squish it a bit more there. Like that. And then give it fur lines. Like that. I reckon he's done. Get rid of these little bally bits of his fur there. So there we have one little billy goat. Let's tidy that eye up. That eye's giving me a little bit of grief. There we go. One little billy goat. She can scare you a bit. Some people, they have that effect on some people. That is for sure. What am I going to make next? I'm going to make another little animal because I've just finished that goat and that's pretty well done. I might make... I'm just looking for something quite simple to make. What can I do? I'm just going back through my drawings to see what I can see that is inspiring me to make. A little squirrel. We can make a little squirrel. Let's make a little squirrel. Love the fresh eggs? Yes. There's nothing quite like it, is there? So I'll pop him over here. He can sit there. And then I'll make a little squirrel. Or a seal or a koala. No, we'll make a squirrel. Okay. So, and then later today I'm going to play games. I've started playing Resident Evil 2. So I'll be playing that a bit later. So cut out, break open a little shape of his head. My grandpa has chickens and I won't go near them for fear of being pecked. Yeah, some chickens are a bit pecky. Some chickens can be, especially, well, actually, mainly roosters. We used to have a rooster when I was a kid that used to attack us. So this doesn't look much like a squirrel at this point, but it will be a squirrel, I promise. We don't have squirrels in Australia, but they're very cute. Squirrels and chipmunks. My son-in-law's Canadian, and he's brought back photos of chipmunks, and oh my god, they're so cute. So squirrels and chipmunks are just adorable, so I'll make a little squirrel. And he loves otters and beavers, so I've got to make him an otter as well. Because otters are so cute. I want to do an otter sort of on its back with a little baby on its thumb. Now I'm going to pull out little legs for the front legs, and little legs, just by kneading that with my fingers I can sort of get the little shape of his legs like that. So that's sort of beginning to be squirrely shaped. And roll ball, because I'm going to make his tail now, and they've got sort of curly uppy over tails. Get that out of the way. And then roll that to the length of the tail, like that. And then I can flatten it into the shape of a squirrel tail, like that. And then attach that on his little bot with the flat side of that. Just push that clay together like that. Whoops. Adjust his little bottom shape. Pull it down at the front a little. Like that. Making these little animals makes me giggle. It's so satisfying and it's so much fun. Alright. So that's sort of a basic little squirrely shape. As for wildlife around my house nowadays, we have a squirrel that is semi-friendly. He knows how to knock on the door for squirrel food. Oh, that's too cute. So cute. Okay, he's got to get his little body a little bit narrower. I've made him a bit too fat. He needs to be not quite as fat a squirrel as I've got him. So I'm just going to squish his little belly like that, roll my fingers around him to make him a bit narrower through his middle. Don't want him to be a thick squirrel. And then his tail comes up and over the front like that. My goodness, doesn't want to play. Okay, hang on. Like that. Get the shape of his tail a little bit better. Flatten it like that. Oh, not happy with that. That just looks weird at the minute. Alright. I think I've got to get his legs under him a bit more. Like that. Okay. He's a bit crooked, so I've got to straighten him up. Like that. See, I'm sort of fiddling and fuddling a bit, but I've got to try and get this shape a bit better. So I'll push the clay a little bit more around his middle to get the shape of his legs a bit better. That's better. That's a bit better. The same between his little front legs. Oh, sorry, hang on. That held it. Buddy and Sissy is what we call them. Oh, cool. Allow. That's okay. That's not but bullying. Goodness gracious. It's just the name. Alright. So, that's sort of his shape. I might shorten his tail a fraction, but I'm undecided. Get his little bottom a bit squarer. There we go. I'm not real happy with his legs. I've got to try and figure these out. Like that. Smooth his tum. Hear my daughter's dog out the front, out the back of, or out the back, out of my room. Okay, so that's sort of pretty much his little body. Now I'll do his little nose. Whoops, very simplistic. Like I don't do things too complicated. I try and keep things as simple as possible. It's all good, cool. All right, and I'll make his little ears. So they've got little rounded ears, haven't they? Whoops. Oops, got to get the balls clay the same size. At least my kids know what to get me for Christmas now. Clay. All the clay. Alright. So then, I'll just flatten his little ears. And gently get my flat tool. And actually I'll use the pin tool. It's a bit easier to pick things up with, like that. Whoops. Says as she drops it. I'm just gonna have to let my daughter's dog in. Hang on, she's being a little sooky. Come on, in you come. In you come, deal. Okay. She's in now. I'll stick that little ear on there. And I'll stick this little ear on this side. Whoops. Like that. Whoops, a daisy. Silly sausage. Ooh, she wants to fall over. Doesn't want to stand. So I've stuck the legs together, that's why. Hang on. There There we go, that's a bit better. And I can adjust shape a little bit. Just got to stick that ear on a bit better. Like that. Stick that ear on. That ear's a little bit bigger, isn't it? I've got to take a little bit of size off this one. I'll just trim a little bit off, like that, and then stick it back on. Just had to take a little bit of length off. Actually, I've got to squish it, make it a little bit rounder. Like that. Get my pointy tool, make it oval, and then stick that on there. That's a bit better. Whoops, whoops, a daisy, the ear doesn't want to stick. Like that. And then I'll smooth that on. Like that. Alright, now get his little face shape a bit better. I've got to shape in his ears a bit better. Because their ears, oops-a-days, doesn't want to stick. There we go. And mould the shape of his little face a bit more. Their ears are sort of more back together, aren't they? Their ears are more like that. They're not sideways ears. He's got sort of back ears. Like that. Again, narrow off his legs and get them so they stand up a bit more. Like that. Bring his tail more over his back. Like that. Okay. Let's have a look. I can smooth him now using my ball tool. I can get a bit more shape. I can use this end. Where's the other one? This rounded end to give him a bit more shape on his nose. Whoops. Smooth it. Joins on his little neck. And I'll join his tail a bit better here. Oops. So his little legs squished. Unsquish it. There we go. Same with his little back legs. Because it's so soft, it keeps wanting to stick together. Okay. Oh my gosh. Then there we go. So basically our little squirrel shape. And then I'm going to mark in. Very nice. Hello, Joyce. I have in the hospital since Monday. Oh no, it's done now, but I'm weak and shaky. Oh, that's no good. That's no good at all, doll. But at least you got help at the hospital. It's a bit scary though. Very scary, doll. Well, I'm glad you're home now. Okay, now I'm going to make the pattern of his fur. So I'm going to use the end of this tool to sort of, that's not going to work, is it? What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? How am I going to make this furry texture? Use this one maybe. It doesn't want to. Maybe I'll just mark it on like that. On the mend? Good. Good. I'm glad to hear it, doll. Glad to hear. Just make sure you rest and drink lots of fluids. So I'm just marking in the fur texture on the tail first, because the tail's the most fragile. Little finger. Okay. Just got to very, very carefully wrap that around and take that fur texture right to its little back. And then I've got to do underneath carefully. Try not to thin it too much. And I've got to get the fur sort of texture going around the underneath. I don't know whether I'll... Chipmunk's a very similar shape. I think they've got a bushier tail though. But there's all different species, I suppose, of squirrel and chipmunk and all that sort of stuff. He's not really working out very well. Whoops, his little legs are... sticking out. So I'm just marking his little fur. Like that. His tail's a bit sort of... They do have long tails. Get his little furry bits around his bot and onto his little legs. Get that shape a bit better. Bring his fur around his little body. Gonna try to eat something. I'm supposed to. Oh, back at you, Dale. Love you too. Just make sure you rest and get, yes, good. Have something to eat. That'll keep your strength up. That'll keep your strength up, Dale. It's very important to rest and keep your fluids up. Whoops, days. I think I'm going to curl the tail a little bit around the edges. Do the fur on his little head. It's almost lunchtime here. It's almost time for me to get something to eat too. Okay, get his little head up. Draw his fur. And I'll do his little, he's going to have little balls for eyes. A squirrel. It is a little squirrel. It certainly is. It's meant to be anyway. That's the plan. That is the plan. I'll give him little eyes. Make his eyes about the same size. Maybe I'll halve that. Like that. Whoops. And then make little balls again. Like that. Whoops. Whoops, a daisy. That's a very slippery little piece of clay, that one. Hang on. Make that into half again. There we go. I had a little squirrel buddy that would come over to the car when I would visit the park back in 22. He had a missing ear. Aww, that's so cute. Little muffin. Where's my pointy tool? Yeah, we don't have them here in Australia, but they're just so cute. Okay, so I've just got to sort of squish that on a bit. I use the edge of my tool, the pointy bit, to just stick those little eyes on a bit. That one too. And then, so I'll just stick those sides down. Then I'm going to get the little tiny ball tool, which is on the end of this, and pop his little pupils in. Like that. Like that. Sort of smooth the edges a little bit. Now, what sort of noses have they got? Little dotty noses? Little triangle noses, don't they? Sort of little triangles. So I'll make that, I'll flatten it like that, and then cut a little triangle. Whoops, like that. Get that little bit off the top, like that. And then stick his little triangle, getting my pointy tool. Oh, it's so thin it didn't want to pick up. I've got to do that again. Maybe, oops. I can do it when it's on. Just pop it on like that, and then do a little triangle shape, like that. And I'll flatten that out. Oops. Smooth it. It's very fiddly because it's so little. It's super fiddly. Alright, now I've got to do is continue on with his little fur. Because they are woolly little creatures, aren't they? Very woolly little furry friends. And I'll paint him as well. And squirrels are red, so I've got some acrylic paint there. Just going to mark in his fur. Onto his little legs. I can see what I need to do to his tail. I need to draw the edges. They've got longer fur on their tail, so I've got to make those lines longer. They've got bushy tails, don't they? I'm not happy with his tail. I'm not 100% happy with that. Not quite sure what I'm going to do to fix it, but I'll just give it all a bit of a wiggle, a bit of a readjust. Got to get the shape in his ears a bit better. Change the shape of his little ears a little bit. Adjust and readjust a little bit, like that. Like that. Smooth that off. Alright, so I'm going to have to pick him up and draw his little fur on, under his little chin. I can paint his little mouth on when I'm when I fired him in the oven. So the beauty of this clay too, I can do it in the oven, you don't need a kiln. You just pop them in the oven at 130 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit for anyone out there who uses Fahrenheit. Get that tail up a bit more. He looks more like a dog. He's looking a bit doggy. Alright. Get this fur longer along the sides. Like that. Both sides of his tail. Do the fur down his little legs. Oopsie-daisy. Once I add colour, he'll look a bit more correct, I think. Just got to soften his ears up a bit, smooth them out gently. Draw the fur on the backs of his ears. doesn't really look like a squirrel, but anyway, I think I've got to do his eyes on the sides of his head a bit more. Because I think their eyes are not on the front like that. I've got his eyes in the wrong spot. That's what looked weird. His eyes are in the wrong spot. So I'll try that again, shall I? I'll just mark fur there. And that texture will help to stick as well. Okay. His eyes are actually on the side of his little head. So, oops, have his little bally eyes. Roll them into balls, like that. Pick it up with my pin tool, and then blob it on his little face on the side. That's a bit better. There. And same for the other side, on the side. That's better. That's better. I wondered what was wrong. It was his eyes were in the wrong spot. Alright. Then, whoops. A dot for his pupil. A dot for his pupil. Like that. And tidy up the edges. Draw some fur. Coming down onto his little nose. Like that. That looks better. Looks a bit more squirrely. Now, I'm going to Google a squirrel picture. Squirrel, cause squirrel. I want to see. Yeah, they have very bushy tails, don't they? So, just trying to think how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get that one. Use that sharp bit to just make it a bit more defined at the top. A bit more bushy definition. Like that. All the way around. Like that. There we go. And we have our little squirrel. I've got to do his nose a bit better. His nose is a bit I'm going to triangulate it a little bit and then flatten it. There we go. There we go. Okay. Square him up a little bit and we have our little goat and our little squirrel. Looks cute. Yeah, his eyes are much better on the sides of his head. I had him in the wrong spot completely. I've got to draw a bit more fur on his little face though, because he got lots of whiskers. Got little whiskers. And I'll paint him so he'll be all the right colours. I'm going to pick him up, draw his fur under his little mouth. Alright. I am going to call him done. So I've got my little billy goat and my little squirrel. So on that note, we are going to find someone to raid. I'll be back after on Twitch with games because I'm going to be playing Resident Evil 2 again. So let's just see who's on. Just going to go back to Twitch and see who's streaming. And let's go and hang out with someone. So, we've got a few actually. A few of my mates are on. Who have we got? Let's go. Let's just check out what Shemaya's doing. No, maybe not. Casey. I haven't seen Casey in forever. She's playing. Oh, she's made. Oh, let's go and raid Casey Snow Art. So I've just got to go back to over here, go video producer, create a dashboard, and then Casey Snow Art. We are going to go raid Casey Snow Art for all of you on Twitch, / raid, oops, help if I could spell, raid Casey Snow Art. So I would love it if you would pop across there with me. That would be awesome. And I will be back later for some games, but I'll have some lunch first. So let us go and hang out with Casey Snow. So I'm just going to hit send. Whoops, Daisy. Put the volume down on that because I've just sort of jumped across into her stream. And thank you for hanging out, Dull. It's been muchly appreciated. So I will see you over there. Have an awesome day, night, people. Thank you for hanging out.